That's awesome. So you talked about the different types. Go ahead and explain in a little bit more detail how they differ.
Well, they differ in terms of some are by acts of omission, so like something the healthcare provider should have done but didn't do. Some are just pure negligence, that they're doing the right thing but just didn't do it properly. In medical malpractice, we have what's known as the standard of care. In an ordinary negligence case, we have what's known as a duty of care. But in malpractice cases, you have to find that the healthcare provider violated this standard of care. And what that standard of care is it's kind of a nebulous term, to be honest, but it's like if I had 100 doctors doing this procedure or doing this kind of work, 80 of them would have done it this way. So that kind of becomes the standard. And then if you deviate from that standard, that's what constitutes a malpractice, a medical negligence claim. Any deviation from the standard of care. In other words, the doctor or healthcare provider didn't do what would normally have been done under the circumstances in this particular case.
Is there an organization that is in charge of setting those standards?
It's not really. I mean, some are set by the licensees themselves in terms of their individual organizations, but it really is established within the litigation itself, if you will. Well, what happens in malpractice cases is you have experts. You can't prosecute a malpractice case unless you have a healthcare provider who has a similar or exact background of the healthcare provider you're going at, and then they talk about what the standard of care is. Now, some doctors may differ as to what the standard of care is in a particular case, but there's generally accepted standard of care in terms of things you won't do. For instance, I mean, a radiologist reading an MRI, the standard of care would require them to detect anything abnormal within that MRI that's obvious within the imaging itself. And so if they fail to detect an abnormality in the imaging, that would be a deviation from the standard of care. Medication errors are like that. If you're supposed to give a particular dosage and they overprescribe the medication, that's a deviation from the standard of care. But the experts themselves devise that. And in fact, you can't prosecute a medical malpractice claim until you have an expert review all the medical records and determine there was a violation of the standard of care and verifies that through an affidavit under oath. And only after that is done can you actually file a malpractice claim.